When the business of this House was suspended at 1:30 p.m., we were at resolutions. Are there any further resolutions? The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Long Island.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for recognizing me. I rise to move the motion for the following resolution. Recognizing that the World Health Organization observed World Mental Health Day on October 10th, and that mental health conditions account for 16% of the global burden of disease and injury in people aged 10 to 19 years. Globally, depression is one of the leading causes of illness and disability among adolescents. Suicide is the third leading cause of death in 15 to 19-year-olds, whereas the World Health Organization notes that half of all mental health conditions are revealed by 14 years of age, but most cases are undetected and untreated. The WHO cites the consequences of not addressing adolescent mental health conditions extending to adulthood, impairing both physical and mental health well-being, and limiting opportunities to lead fulfilling lives as adults. Whereas depression is defined as a mood disorder characterized by prolonged feelings of sadness and loss of interest in daily activities. The WHO states that depression is mainly characterized by a loss of energy, a change in appetite, sleeping more or less, anxiety, reduced concentration, indecisiveness, restlessness, feelings of worthlessness, guilt, or hopelessness, and thoughts of self-harm or suicide. And whereas online activities and social media can provide an unprecedented level of anonymity, thereby resulting in scores of young people suffering under the stigma of declining mental health largely in silence. The need exists to promote and integrate mental health into primary care settings and normalize the experience of mental illness as another health concern. Be it resolved that removing the stigma from mental illness is one of the first steps toward the prevention of widespread, undetected, and untreated mental illness in young people. Open discussions in fora, such as this National Youth Parliament, go a long way in shedding light on the need for increased education on the subject of mental illness and can provide avenues for further intervention. The members here assembled will discuss solutions for eradicating that stigma of mental illness on a national level by 1. Promoting education and awareness of the various mental illnesses affecting young people. 2. Advancing school-based interventions through teaching and training. And 3. Introducing community-based prevention programs targeted at vulnerable young people. Be it further resolved that in 2017, the World Health Organization published the Global Accelerated Action for the Health of Adolescents, which aims to assist governments in responding to the health of adolescents in their countries, including mental health, and that this National Youth Parliament will provide a response to this document and identify policies, programs, and plans which ought to be undertaken by the government of the Bahamas. Mr. Speaker, words cannot express how I am most delighted to rise in this illustrious assembly to serve as a voice for the humble and distinguished constituents of my great Long Island. Depression, anxiety, and social isolation, Mr. Speaker, are not signs of weakness. They are signs for trying to remain strong for far too long with far too little help. From mothers struggling with postnatal depression, young people in schools who are being bullied, people facing stress and anxiety in the workplace, to some of our ethnic minority communities who face a higher incidence of stressful conditions. Mental illness is a cradle-to-grave problem, Mr. Speaker, with nothing like a cradle-to-grave service. Mr. Speaker, there may be some people who say that mental health is the kind of subject we can talk in the good times and not when the economy is such a priority. In my view, that is the opposite of the truth, because mental health is an economic challenge holding back prosperity. Because however hard the economic challenges in our country are, we cannot forget about the quality of people's lives. And finally, if we want a politics that talks directly to the challenges that Bahamian people face in their everyday lives, we cannot allow a silence to continue. And Mr. Speaker, it is not just politics that is too silent. It is a stigma and taboo running across our society which infects both our culture and the minds of young people. It is a taboo which not only blights the lives of many teens and other people, but also puts a severe strain on the initiation of solutions to aid these affected. Mr. Speaker, as we all know, education is the first stepping stone in every process in this country. And for this pressing issue, it is also. There are many mental illnesses that occur amongst the youth of today which need to be made aware to the Bahamian people. Too long, Mr. Speaker, have Bahamians played a blind eye to this issue, which will slowly but surely drag the Bahamas into an abyss of defeat and danger. To educate Bahamians, a long and detailed list of these mental health problems, their definitions and solutions need to be provided to the public in order for them to fully comprehend the severity of this issue. Public service announcements need to be made. This conversation needs to be a priority on talk and radio shows. Mr. Speaker, to engage with the public and inform them on everything pertaining with mental illness. Another solution may be simply having a talk or radio show solely serving the purpose of dealing with mental illness, giving daily motivation or on-the-go coping mechanisms. Mr. Speaker, it is quite shocking and a hurt to my young heart to provide you with the following information, that in my own hometown, Long Island, there is not even a single licensed practicing psychologist, therapist, psychiatrist, nothing of the sort. And possibly this occurs throughout other family islands as well. How do these people then deal with their mental problems? Yet another set of expenses to travel to Nassau? This should not be so. Mr. Speaker, I urge the public to get involved with this topic. Many lives can be helped or saved by implementing programs in communities to aid these youth who are vulnerable. To duplicate youth empowerment programs like Big Brother, Big Sister, the Bahamas Youth Network, and many more, which are used as guides and role models for youth of today, organizations need to be initiated where the main focus is mental illness. In such organizations, groups of teens can gather and engage in coping activities and discussions. Mr. Speaker, mental illness is a severe cross-cutting issue. Not as many Bahamian churchgoers would say, that child got demons. And it is not a phase that many Bahamian households assume children will just, and I quote, get over and grow out of. No, it is not. These closed-minded fallacies of my Bahamian people need to change in order to eradicate this stigma surrounding mental health. Mr. Speaker, as I bring my speech to an end, let it be said that if just one troubled child's life is saved from a life suffering of mental illness or a life filled with torment and anguish, then we, as youth parliamentarians, would have accomplished our goal by putting forward our agendas for this government. Thank you.